I'm running for the United States Senate from Wyoming, Thomas Fleming, and I believe in the Second Amendment 100%. And I'm here at the 4th Annual Bighorn Tea Party Picnic in Emblem, Wyoming today, August 2nd, 2014, to ask the people of Wyoming to vote for me for the U.S. Senate. Thank you very much.
That's some serious burger flipping going on there. Welcome to the middle of nowhere, Ted.
I am the middle of nowhere.
Excellent.
Guitar player. How you doing?
Very good. Pleasure meeting you. You know what? I saw you on the first day on the green. The second one.
Hello, lady. Nice to see you. Uh-oh. Here we go.
Okay.
Smile. Good. Thank you.
No bags of
All right. Thanks. Wait, one more. Washington Times.
One more? All right.
All right, but I can be out of this.
You guys use Facebook and all that stuff too?
Oh, yeah.
This will be there.
Twitter? Huh?
This will be there. It'll be YouTube, Facebook. You're not gonna hit me for copyrights or anything, are you, Ted?
Ted, I'm gonna. It's time. We're gonna make history.
Wow, how was that? What a terrific turnout. I know Ted and I are very excited to be here today. And we're not going to talk long, but we're going to impart some very important messages to everybody. Because I think we'll all be in sync as to what we need to do in America. I'll give a little talk. Ted's going to come up and talk, and then we're going to have a little question and answer period so we can answer some of your questions, hopefully. America is at a crossroads, ladies and gentlemen. America is at a crossroads. Today, in Wyoming, I'm calling for a national call to action by all of us to stand up and save this country and save the Republic. We started a project 2 years ago at Stand Up America called the Americans Project. And a very important part of that project is to say, listen, we are Americans before we're anything else. We're Americans before we're Republicans or Democrats or Libertarians. So I want each of you to look at each other and say, I'm an American first. Say that to each other. Say it when you get up in the morning. I'm an American first.
I'm an American first.
I'm an American first. Now, somebody told me when I did this the last time, he said, well, God is where I'm at. I said, same here. However, the religious mantle covers everything, and to believe in God and Jesus Christ. But we have to realize when we look at the political side of things, we have to look at what we are as we stand for our country, for our Constitution, for our Bill of Rights. And if we follow a lot of those things, listen, we will be on track. I want to impart to you today there is hope for America because we are going to stand up. We are going to challenge what's happening in Washington, D.C. America's been taken down a road that we never anticipated would happen so quickly, so rapidly, that here in 2014, many of us are still stunned about what is happening in Washington, D.C. I had an opportunity last year when I flew back from Cairo, Egypt. I was over there meeting with General al-Sisi, the new president. I'm the only one that's met with him twice. As a matter of fact, we do the Muslim hug and kiss. John Kerry, who I call Lurch, was over there last week. Said you wouldn't believe it. He put Kerry through a detector machine. He actually had to go through one of these machines to see el-Sisi. I see el-Sisi, he comes and hugs me. So I got a nice email back a few days ago from a retired guy in the CIA, and he says, Paul, he says, well, they respect you and you have credibility. They have no respect for Obama or Kerry. Yes. They know around the world the situation we're in, and believe me, our adversaries are going to take advantage of it. But let me talk a little bit about the Americans Project, and I'll take you through a little tour of the Middle East. I think we'll give you some idea what's happening over there and the threats to America. The other study we did at Stand Up America was examining our government structure. And through our analysis, we've come up with 47% of the federal government can be done away with tomorrow and we wouldn't miss it. 47%, that's a minimum. And when I got briefed on Cindy Hill yesterday and her stand on education, one of the first things that's cut is Department of Education, and we do return that to the state. And Cindy, thank you for what you've done in Wyoming. You have set a marker down for the rest of the country. But we look at, we don't need the IRS anymore. We need a fair or flat tax. Let's do that. All right. Let's do away with the Federal Reserve. We put it all back in the Treasury where it should be. We know that we do not need a Department of Energy. We put that in the private sector, or would be, where it should be. And we open up Wyoming and Montana, as we've done in the Dakotas, and we become energy independent. Okay? Let's do away with the tyrannical and very, very inept, but such an organization that's doing so much damage to us, and that's the EPA. I visited 2 ranches last month with my good friend here, Kevin Moore. Raise your hand, Kevin. Over in Augusta, Montana. There were 3 fields already dug over there. But with the EPA now, the farmers and the ranchers over there, they can't afford to even raise cattle anymore. The damage is done by the wolves over there and the grizzlies. The restrictions on what can be done by the EPA and the Bureau of Land Management. They now want to open up those ranches to drill what's under the ground because that's the only way they're going to survive. That's how bad it is. Ranchers can't ranch anymore like they used to. It's happening all over the country. It's happening in Texas and other places. So when we look at that federal government, we have to look at the Department of Defense. We came up with a plan called the Lily Pad Strategy. Joint Strike Force operations. We can hit our enemy anywhere, anytime, 24 hours a day, and then come back home. It's not our job to nation build around the world. We're good-hearted and we help people. But it's not our job to go over in the Middle East and try to take those countries and turn them into a democracy. As a young Syrian officer told me last year, was with the Free Syrian Army, said, "General, we don't understand democracy, but we understand freedom now. Freedom to travel, freedom to express ourselves." That's what they've grown up with the lack of that. They don't have it. So as we set the example, we look at, again, the internal threats. The biggest threat to America right now, and I said this 2 years ago, is our government. Their inability to govern, their inability to change, partisan politics, money. And I'll tell you, the Republican establishment is just as bad as anybody. And they won't change. That's why we have to get rid of them. Partisan politics is destroying us. Political correctness is destroying us. And as we examine all of those ills, there's a lot of positive things. The only thing keeping this country afloat right now is the private sector. People working wherever they may be. And although Obama took credit for the uptick last week, the United States government had nothing to do with the positive uptick in our economy that was reported this week or last week, within the last 7 days. I get very discouraged when I have to travel, and I'm so embarrassed when I get overseas. I've been into the Middle East 5 times in the last 18 months. I'm not even sure I told Ted this, but I'm the only one that's been inside Syria. I went in last year with 400 men, Free Syrian Army, and they took good care of me. If you go on YouTube, you can see the whole thing. Went into the most dangerous city of the world, into Aleppo. But I had 400 of them taking good care of me and make sure I got in and out. We actually walked across the border into Turkey at midnight through a cornfield. I'm 74 years old. I'm saying, what the hell am I doing? Of course, where's Muffin? This is my wife, Muffin. She never knows I go over. She says, "What are you going over for?" I said, "Oh, we have some meetings." And she says, she comes back and she says, "Well, Al-Qaeda just put a hit on you." That's on YouTube as well. And they call me the Kafir Crusader. And I'll have to have you look that up, see. And they figure I'm training all of these rebel forces over there. And the only thing I taught them to do, Ted, this funny story, a lot of people, I'll just tell it real quickly. When I met with 45 of the commanders of the Free Syrian Army, they had all defected, by the way, from Assad. And there were lawyers, there were doctors, military, and so on. And so we're sitting there at the table, and the one Free Syrian Army commander, he says, "Well, they're killing so many of us." They had just had 80 amputees treated without anesthesia. Okay? I was trying to get humanitarian medical aid over. The United States government would give them nothing, and they're fighting for freedom. Obama ended up by supporting the Muslim Brotherhood up there. Okay? So anyhow, we're sitting there and realizing that the Air Force from Assad was creating most of the casualties. So I'm thinking, as an old infantry special ops guy, what can we do? So I'm scratching my head, and I said, I got an idea. I said, I want you to get 100 of your best shooters. I want you to form 25 4-man sniper teams. Spotter, shooter, 2 security people. I want you to position yourself outside the airports. So we left on Tuesday, and of course they all use cell phones over there. So here are the generals, and they're calling up, giving out instructions throughout Syria. We left Istanbul on Tuesday. On Thursday, front page of the London Times, Aleppo airport hit by rebels. Within 30 days, all international flights were canceled into Damascus. All right, one man, 100 fighters can do that. But yet we won't lift a finger to help them over there. We don't need troops on the ground. But these are the kind of people for freedom that we can help. When I visited with General el-Sisi, after we had cut off their aid because they were trying to improve their helicopter and their fleets over there against Al-Qaeda in the Sinai, and now, of course, in Libya. And he said, I wish America would, for a change, look through our eyes. We are considered so arrogant, our government. We have no friends, we have no allies anymore, because we don't take the time to go out and look through their eyes and see what they have to deal with. Then we can make a decision. And that was very important. He said, generally said, we have to deal in the realities. We can't be like Obama and live in a mythical land like he does. And so those are important messages from people overseas that look back at us right now. So we need many changes. We have to have warriors, ladies and gentlemen, not only leaders. And as I explained last night to our guest, there's a difference between being a warrior and a leader. Now I can lead all of you over here. We can go through get our lunch. Warriors will fall on their sword for you. I will fall on my sword for you. That's what warriors do. We're willing to give blood in order to save what we believe in. I wish we had one warrior in the Senate, one warrior in Congress, all right, that would fall on their swords for each and every one of us to make sure America is saved and restored to what it should be. We all have to participate in this. We all have to stand up. Everybody says, what can we do? America is starved for warriors and leaders right now. And it may be that some of us retired guys have got to take the helm at some point in time, working hopefully with our political system. Again, I'm not confident our current political system can solve our problems because of the money situation and the partisan politics. Obama should be impeached. The entire national security team
are winning. It's that the good guys ain't fighting.
That's right. Right.
The curse in this country isn't Obama. It's those of us that knew he was a community organizer scammer, that he doesn't have the credentials to drive my tour bus, that he's a bad man. He represents communism. He represents socialism. His entire history is ripe with anti-American, anti-freedom, anti-constitution, anti-independence, anti-entrepreneurial, and we still elected him. He's not the enemy, the non-voters are, and your friends who were too busy to vote are the enemy. So in my 6,500 meetings, I began scolding my friends back in the 60s. You're not a member of the NRA? Get out of here. You're not invited. Leave the room. You want to have great joy in your life and cause Nancy Pelosi to exhibit more G-forces on her face? Make sure everybody you know is an NRA member. It brings them much anguish. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're here and you're not a member of the National Rifle Association, the most simple statement of freedom available to an American, if you're not a member of the NRA, I got to tell you, Nancy Pelosi likes you. And I know Gun Owners of America, and I know all the Second Amendment organizations. I'm a member or board of director on all of them. If you're not an NRA member, you're not a freedom fighter. That's job one. And that means talking about it at camp. That means talking about it at work. That's the indicator of whether you're on the side of people that would never ask our country to do anything for us, but we demand of ourselves everything we possibly can for our country. And on the other line, drawn in the sand, are people who refuse to do anything for their country, but demand that we do everything for them. It's that cut and dry. They are a different species. Watch him talk. Watch Harry read. What is that?
Target.
You don't need to read it, you need to sign it. She should have been arrested on the floor. What is that? Political middle finger to we the people? That's what that is. My brain doesn't know how to process this information. The indecency, the fraud, the deceit, the corruption, the lies. I stand on the front lines, and I've been doing so forever. I stood up for the Second Amendment against hippies that thought deer were cartoon characters. And I didn't apologize, and I didn't back down. I celebrated and promoted. I'm a hunter, I'm a fisherman, and I'm a trapper. And I believe that I have the right to keep and bear. So if you're not pissing off the assholes, you're an asshole. And I'm doing one hell of a job in that department. So at one of my concerts recently, and it's all over the headlines, the left has just wallpapered and carpet bombed lie after lie about me because they know they're incapable of debating me. That's right. Because I will go Pierce Morgan on them. And I will obliterate them with evidence, facts, and statistics, no matter what subject they dare to debate me on. So they have to revert to the Saul Alinsky, Joseph Goebbels lie campaign. They bus in protesters to my concerts. They bust them in. The protesters are so stoned and delirious, they still wear their American communist badges. They're not local protesting my concerts. They're racist, pedophile, draft dodger. American communist badges. Rastafarian ratness. Stink. I called them unclean vermin. I was accurate. The left media took my statement accurately and honestly identifying deceiving protesters paid for by the Southern Poverty Law Center, MoveOn.org, Huffington Post. When I'm asleep, I piss them off. And they bust them in to protest my concerts with placards that somebody made for them. And I identified them as unclean vermin. I'm pretty good with the English language and my eyes don't lie. The media took that statement and said I said that about my Native American blood brothers, who I have had a wonderful brotherhood relationship for over 45 years. There's not a tribe in this country that hasn't invited me to their reservation to teach their children about being clean and sober, to aim small, miss small, the history of hands-on conservation, to respect the mighty beasts that bring us food, clothing, shelter, tools, medicine, and our spirit. I am the best friend to the Native Americans, and the media knew that there were enough dumb people to buy a headline if it was repeated often enough. Saul Alinsky, Joseph Goebbels propaganda ministry. It doesn't bother me on a personal level. The more idiots hate me, the better my guitar playing gets. But on a human level, on an American level, that abject dishonesty and black-hearted hatred is the same species as us and horrifically fellow Americans. That hurts me deeply. They're not interfering with my music, it's untouchable. They're not going to interfere with my hunting season. In fact, I'll kill more stuff just for them. But on a human and American level, I'm a creative guy. I wrote Wango Tango. There's no limit to my imagination, but I am helpless to imagine what makes them tick. What allows them to tick is that not enough of us. I've been doing it non-stop, every tour, every night, every hunting camp, every Thanksgiving dinner, everywhere I go. I try not to bring too much anguish into the culture war in family fun times, but I make sure everybody at my table is a member of the NRA. I make sure everybody at my table is in communication with their senators and their congressmen and their mayors and their governors and the White House. And the reason America is a hellhole on the fast track to spiritual suicide is because those of us that know better, those of us that put our hearts and souls into being the best Americans we can, it is so foreign to us that we would have to support the right to keep and bear arms that many of us don't. It's a daily responsibility. And because we didn't, following World War II, instead of maintaining quality control and participation in the sacred experiment in self-government, and making sure that our congressman and our senator and our mayor and our governor and our reps followed the Constitution, followed the Bill of Rights, fulfilled their oath to we the people as elected employees, because we failed miserably, damage control is 1,000 times the effort. I'm up to 1,000 times the effort. I put forth 1,000 times the effort every day. I beseech you, take this bull by the horns. Don't take it for granted. Don't take it for granted. Don't think that the self-evident truth is in the logic column anymore. It's not. We have to start all over again. I speak to children's organizations every week. I have a Ted Nugent camp for kids. I'm invited into all the different reservations to speak to these poor, forlorn, substance-abusing, paint-sniffing, obese children of the native peoples. And they don't know what the word sacred temple means. I was brought up that this is my sacred temple. You don't poison your sacred temple. The author of Wang Dang Sweet Poon Tang has to explain sustained yield wildlife management to Indians. What's next? It's funny, but it's insane.
I agree.
Because we that know have been moot. If you're afraid of hurting someone's feelings, man up. If you're afraid of being politically incorrect and ruffling feathers, I don't ruffle feathers, I shoot them and gut them and pluck them. It's a culture war. It's not a culture discussion. It's not a culture picnic. It is a war for the very soul of the last best place that is designed not to let kings and tyrants and emperors tell us what to do, but rather we the people tell them what to do. And if they don't do it, you don't just vote them out. You might have to arrest them and try them and convict them and jail them. Eric Holder. And just to finalize the irrefutable conclusive evidence how bad it is, you have actually invited the Motor City Madman to explain this shit to you. And I know I'm speaking your language. I know nothing I've said surprises you except maybe the insane depth of the self-inflicted curse of apathy. We have bent over since World War II because we couldn't believe that good, the universally celebrated good of America, crushed the universally understood evil of Japs and Nazis. We couldn't believe that that government that represented us in good over evil could possibly turn on us. They've turned on us. They've literally turned on us. Ranchers being arrested because of gerbils on their range, or some families arrested because the EPA claims they're building a barn on a wetland where for 200 years of satellite documentation, no moisture. In Michigan, I got a beaver flooding my driveway. I got a call to DNR to kill my beaver. I'm Ted Nugent. I'm the master of beavers. Beaver education, I need not. In New Jersey last week, my friends were telling me they were having a coyote problem. I said, what's that? Where I live, the coyotes have a Ted problem. You see how insane this is? And those were conservatives. Those are NRA men. Well, yeah, we have a coyote problem. You need a scrotum? I can get you a scrotum. I can't process this information. It's bizarro world. Don't take Wyoming for granted. You got it too good here.
Right. Yes.
You might be sleeping because it says WY as your residence. Coloradoans thought they were tough. The hippies own the state. That's right. You gotta be kidding me. I was born in Detroit, the epicenter of the most Herculean work ethic, productivity in the history of mankind. Then the liberal Democrats weaseled their way in and convinced those great productive workers that they're working too hard and producing too much quality. If you back down your effort and you back down quality control, I can get you overtime. And they bought it. I wish my sons and daughters were here right now. I got 9 wonderful kids, 11 grandkids. That's why I'm fighting. Because I lived the American dream based on my effort, I was compensated. Based on my sacrifices and my risk, I could buy a little farm and have my own sacred hunting grounds. And it's not available to them anymore. I'm going to fight to get it back. I beseech you. This is the Tea Party. We're throwing tea in the bay, but that's not the limit of what we can do. We can take that back this country if, and only if, each of you find 100 apathetic friends of yours. You need to find them. You don't need to talk about the weather and the drought. There's weather, there's droughts. You need to talk about, are you an NRA member? If you're not, shame on you. You might overlook that. I'm telling you, that's the clincher. When the left tries to make a move, they look and see how many NRA members are around, because they know if they try some sneak attack, we'll kick their ass.
Right.
So I leave you with this, and General, I think you agree. It's up to this little group, a little group in Des Moines, a little group in Madison, Wisconsin, a little group in Englewood, Colorado the other night, a little group in South Dakota in a couple days, a little group in Oregon in a couple days, a little group in Ohio I'm going to go. I'm going to go to West Virginia, I'm going to go to South Carolina, I'm going to go to Florida, then I'm going to Mississippi, and I'm going back to Texas. Little group. I know you know 100 people. And I know you know 100 people that are not engaged. Men, warriors have died. They charged into the fire so you can vote and participate in the only experiment in self-government in the history of Earth. How dare you not participate? You need to say that to your friend. I'm not voting this year. I don't like so. How dare you? There's a soldier in a box How dare you not use the rights and the freedoms as provided at such complete sacrifice? So that's all I'm here to tell you. If you want to just rest on your laurels and I'm from Wyoming, they can't touch me, you're wrong. You're wrong. And if you don't communicate it, and I'm not talking once a week, you have to do it every day. It's a pain in the ass, but you got to do it. The enemy's at the door. There's too many wolves, literally and figuratively. We need to reduce them dramatically.
Exactly.
So, General, thanks for standing at my side.